Hi everybody, welcome to Patient Safety Solutions. This is Chenel Trevellini here with Roxanne Elling, who is a certified wound ostomy continence nurse. And we are going to talk today about your role as a WOC nurse.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. And I'm so happy to be here and actually sit with you today. I haven't actually got to visit your hospital before.
I know.
Even though we worked together for many years,
Yeah.
I didn't get to visit. So thank you for letting me come.
Oh, thanks for coming.
I'm so excited to get started. So what I want to start first with is, could you tell us your pathway to becoming a WOC nurse?
Okay. I was in the spring of 2010 class at the Cleveland Clinic program. So back then we went and we stayed. It was 4 weeks didactic in the classroom. Paula Irwin-Tooth was our professor.
Wow.
And then we had 120 hours clinical on site. We rotated through every colorectal floor, the ostomy clinic. We rounded with the skincare WOCs, and we changed VACs, and we saw amazing things because the Cleveland Clinic is a city unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole campus is 25 square blocks.
Wow.
We went to the OR. You get, if you go there, just an amazing clinical experience that really, I think, very few other institutions have access to in school.
And so how did you decide on that program? How did you know about, because I probably were about 8 at the time, I think.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How did you make your decision on that's the one I want to go to? And
so a very wise and worldly WOC nurse.
Oh yeah.
A very close personal friend of both of ours, actually.
Okay.
Vashti Livingston.
Yes, she is very wise.
Told me, yes, she is. She is like the mother of all of us, I think.
She is.
She's kind, she's loving, she takes you under her wing, and she says, this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it.
Okay.
And she said, if you're going to do it, you want to go somewhere, you want to immerse in it. You don't want to have to come back and try and scramble for clinicals.
Yeah.
You really want to go somewhere and just live it.
And have it all there for you.
And have it all there for you. Experience every possible thing that you can. See everything, because you don't know what you're going to run into, and it's to your benefit to actually go there and do that and have that experience.
Yeah. So that must have been hard for you, because I know that you have children and you're married.
Yes,
and
it
so
was.
Maybe is there some type of advice that you would give to someone, maybe even to your, your younger self,
right?
Maybe on how you could, you can do this, or how you could do it easier or something.
Key to that is having that supportive spouse.
Yeah.
So who is able
so marry right.
Marry the right person. Have that supportive spouse who is able to swoop in, and your extended family. If it wasn't for, I think, my mother-in-law, who was able to jump in a pinch and help, because my littlest was 3 turning 4, and we always said I finished in just enough time, or he would have been in therapy for lack of mommy. So it was
so the whole family invested in your journey,
in our
becoming
journey.
a WOC nurse.
Yeah, because it was really going to be best for all of us to really take that leap as a clinical specialist, to be able to focus in that one area.
And then you landed at Good Samaritan Hospital after that, or how did that transition?
So I was lucky in that when I was actually at school in Cleveland, a position opened at the Visiting Nurse Service of New York, where I had been employed at that point for 12 years already. So I stayed at VNS, and I became one of 2 WOC nurses that covered the entire borough of Manhattan.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was
you saw everything.
Such an amazing learning experience as a new WOC. And again, I had my colleague Mary Johnson, who was such a seasoned visiting nurse and WOC who was able to kind of help me make that transition from
Nice.
your regular super do everything visiting nurse to just focus on the specialty and how we can help and support the staff in Manhattan and eventually throughout the boroughs for VNS-NY. And then after, I think it was 2 years, position opened up on Long Island, and I made the transition back to acute care, which is sort of the opposite of what people usually do. Usually you go from acute care to home care, and I sort of have taken the non-traditional route of going back, and that was a learning process. And you were instrumental in helping me make that transition from home care to acute care and understand all of the things that you really needed to do to work in a hospital again, and how you could get that education to staff and the processes that we have to go through to bring new products in and things like that. So
yeah, it was fun working together. I
was
really
very
enjoyed
fun.
it, and we had a good run there.
We did. We had a lot of fun. We did some good stuff.
Yeah, we did. We accomplished a lot, I think. So I think that's really important to kind of talk to the audience about, is that there are WOC nurses along the continuum of care. So they may be in home care, they may be in long-term care, they may be in rehab care, they may be in acute care, as we were speaking about, or wound care centers.
There really isn't a part, I think, of the patient's journey that couldn't be helped by a WOC, whether it's, like you said, rehab, skilled nursing, and LTAC, home care, everything. We could make an improvement to that patient experience all along
the way. So that kind of brings me to my next question there. Have you noticed any patterns or emerging trends along the way, and maybe even thinking more about most recently over the past few years? Are you seeing anything different happening with WOC nursing and your role?
I have within our system specifically. We really are on that high reliability journey as an institution, as a system. We are focused on safety, and pressure injuries is a big part of that. And the WOC nurses, we have been really brought into this, the whole mindset of the system of going on that journey to reduce any safety issues. So the system has brought us in and really made us a part of that. How can we help all of our patients and all of our staff and the nurses, and even up to the CMO of the system, understand of why this is so important and how we can help every patient in every hospital, in every clinic that we touch, to be part of that safe, reliable system.
And I think you touched on that perfectly with safety, because the WOC nurse isn't just about pressure ulcers. They really have a key role in leadership and teaching staff and teaching patients, but not just
physicians.
And physicians.
And we teach everybody.
Physical therapists, value analysis professionals, the OR staff,
our risk people. A lot of the times we're educating people who work in risk to say this is why it's so important to have the same supplies in every institution. We should all be equal. We're part of a system. So to really bring that to their knowledge, because sometimes they're not aware of these things. So
it sounds like you're really moving more towards a leadership role, really kind of moving, like leading different groups of people into understanding what the safety concerns are that are related to your specialty.
I think we are all doing that, but I think we also have, we kind of have our fingers in many holes of the dike, to say, we are trying to work as part of this system journey. We are at the bedside helping our nurses. We are getting calls from surgeons to help them, fix problems with
Yeah.
maybe a
MacGyver it.
technical. Let's fix it. What can you do to help me solve this patient's problem with his wound vac,
Yeah.
or it's a wound management pouch or something. So I think as a WOC, we have the ability to touch many facets of patients' care, from whether it's working with nutrition to make sure, because we're nosy. WOC nurses,
We
we're
are,
nosy.
aren't we?
I'm opening up that patient's drawer, and if they have that stockpile of Ensure, well, I'm going to that nutritionist and I'm saying, we're stockpiling. We need to change it.
That's
Maybe
not
we
going
need
into the
It's
patient.
not going into the patient. Will he change it to a pudding? Will he drink that? So I think we are just trying to be everywhere, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. But I think it's not crazy, but I think it's important.
Yeah. Oh, very important.
Very important.
Very important.
So the next question kind of stems off of that, and I think you have somewhat touched on it, but do you see the WOC nurse role evolving past what we've been talking about? Like these, what do you see? Yeah, what do you see happening with the WOC nursing role? Maybe even if you think about your system is like many other systems across the United States. So I mean, the problems and obstacles that you're tackling, your colleagues in other institutions and parts of systems are doing the same. So where do you see that?
Where do I see in the future?
Yeah.
As a WOC, I think we have a role, and I think we have an obligation to the patients and the hospitals and the systems to really even strive for those leadership roles. I think, if I could make that perfect world, there would be potentially, a WOC specific to a role in leadership at a system level, with, the ability to help our colleagues within our nursing homes and our other acute care institutions to sort of elevate it and keep it up on that administrative level and remind our CMOs and CFOs of why this is so important to patient care and safety, patient safety. It's a huge part of that. Reducing those readmissions for those patients who maybe have ostomy and those surgical site infections and things like that. We can certainly play a very important role in that.
Very good. I like that. So the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, and so that was perfect situation you're saying, but let's pretend I'm giving you a magic wand right now.
Okay.
And I'm allowing you to say, I'm going to use this magic wand to do whatever I want to do. Like, what would you do with that magic wand to change the role or the
if I had a wish?
Yeah, a wish. It could be a wish. It doesn't have to
Can I
be a
make a
magic
wish?
wand. Yes.
Okay, if I can make a wish.
Make a wish.
So if I can make a wish, so here we are 50 miles from Manhattan.
Yeah.
We have a lot of, our population we go from, very low income to very, very, very high income.
Yeah.
Okay? We have no ostomy clinic. We have one that just started, and it's at a surgeon's office. It's something that they are doing, and they're starting small, and they have a very dedicated WOC who's running it.
Yeah.
But I think if I could make that wish, is that we could, within our system, maybe one on the North Shore, maybe one on the South Shore, if a WOC could have, say, just a small office, a place to see somebody who had their ostomy created at their own institution, to have that very important follow-up and follow-through to help with pouching and diet and skincare. And, as abdomens change, maybe another product would be better to have that.
Fixing a different appliance.
Exactly. Maybe, you fit into product X, but now product Y would be so much better for your abdomen.
Yeah, you
And
know,
I
we
think-
see the wound care centers opening
Mhm.
all over the country.
All over the country. In
But
our
we're
system,
not
we have 3.
seeing, but we're not seeing the ostomy care being provided to
Yeah.
the patients, where that might even be the optimal place to have that WOC nurse sitting,
Right.
even if it was just for
Or
so
just-
many hours a week.
Right.
on
Or
a-
even say it was twice a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, one Friday, twice a month in this section of the
Yeah.
hospital. And
That
to have a
would really-
dedicated person who was sort of part of their job responsibility was to coordinate those visits,
Mm-hmm.
you know, do the scheduling for that, so the WOC wouldn't have to be the secretary and the clinician, you know,
Yes,
to kind of
yeah.
have a dedicated staff. So if I could make that wish
That is
for
a great wish.
for Long Island, you know,
Yeah.
that would be, you know, something, you know, at your former institution up on the North Shore of Nassau County, maybe down here, you know, on the South Shore of Suffolk County. We're 20 miles,
Yeah.
but it's a great difference, because people who live here don't necessarily want to travel up there, and people who live up there don't want to travel down here. So if we could make it geographically easy
Yeah.
for patients and their families. you
True.
know?
Yeah, I have to say, thinking back to when I was working in acute care, that was one of the major problems that we had, was when somebody was going home, even if it wasn't a complex stoma,
Yeah.
it was just a regular, perfect
Oh,
stoma. The support to that patient once they left the hospital
It's challenging.
was very challenging, and you know, they could make an appointment with the surgeon who created the stoma, but unfortunately that surgeon's not an expert in pouching a stoma and containing it and counseling the patient on
Right, and going over the steps that you need to do
Yeah.
to take care of that skin and why
Yeah.
it's so important, and so
Well, I hope your wish comes true.
I hope so too. Someday.
Because it would really improve the patient experience.
Yeah,
I think
it would. I think
definitely
it would improve a lot of lives.
Yes, I think it would too. Well, I thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming, or not coming, but letting me come here and give me a hug. I miss you so much.
I know, it's so good to see
It's
you.
so good to see you too.
Yep.
And so I just want to say thank you to Roxanne for letting me come into her office this afternoon in Long Island at Good Samaritan Hospital. And you can catch my vlog and blog at patientsafetysolutions.net. And till next time, goodbye.